Morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us for Women Build 2021. We are excited to be here in the virtual environment today. My name is Sarah Petalty, and my role with Habitat Greater Fresno Area is a volunteer engagement manager. Today, I will be serving as a moderator for our session. We also have Megan Scholl, our donor engagement specialist, who will be assisting with the tech. We have Alexandria Sanchez, our Habitat AmeriCorps member, who will be assisting with the question and answer time. And we also have Marina, who we will introduce shortly. This session will be recorded, and so it will be available for you to view again or share with others within the next couple of weeks on our Women Build webpage, which can be found at habitatfresno.org. Throughout today's session, the only visible videos will be our presenters, and each attendee has been muted. If you would like to engage in conversation with the panelists and attendees throughout the presentation, please feel free to use the chat box that is at the bottom of your screen. Any questions that were submitted previously through your registration will be addressed during the presentation. Some of those questions that may have been reassigned to a different session this week, where they're a better fit with the content and the expertise of the presenter. Questions can also be asked in the Q&A box that's also at the bottom of your screen next to the chat box during the presentation, or you can save them for the end during the more formal question and answer period, which will be facilitated by Alexandria. Immediately following the presentation and question and answer period, we will have a closing that includes a raffle. So please make sure to stick around to see who the winner is. To kick us off, we're going to share a little bit more about Habitat. Habitat's mission is to put God's love into action by bringing people together to build homes, communities, and hope. Women Build Week is an annual week-long event created by Habitat International's Women Build program in partnership with Lowe's. Lowe's has contributed over $78 million to Habitat International, and Lowe's Heroes have volunteered at Home Build to help more than 17,000 Habitat families throughout the country. Since 1991, when Women Build started, women have come together with Habitat for Humanity to inspire, empower, and support each other through building homes, communities, and hope. Today's session with Habitat Greater Fresno Area's Women Build 2021 will feature Marina Harutyunyan, Habitat Greater Fresno Area's Director of Compliance and Community Development, as she shares how we build homes, communities, and hope, specifically through our neighborhood revitalization work. Marina has been with Habitat for over 5 years. She immigrated to the United States about 6 years ago and brought with her experience both working and living in developing countries with political, economic, and humanitarian challenges and crises. As an international scholar, Marina was able to complete her graduate work in the United States in 2006 and go back to Eastern Europe with a purpose of revitalizing less fortunate countries. Through her work with the United Nations, Heifer Armenia, and other international organizations, she was able to serve residents, particularly youth, in remote and war-torn areas of Armenia. Today, she has found a hub here in Fresno where many community initiatives and issues relate to the focus of her life's work, including social injustice, poverty, dilapidating living conditions, and a lack of resources to accomplish community goals. We're excited to hear from her, and welcome, and thank you, Marina, for joining us.
Thank you, Sarah. All right, well, thank you everyone for being here with us today. This is a wonderful opportunity, especially you know, in the month of Women's International Day. I come from a part of the world that celebrates March 8th for a very long time. It's a big celebration, and men give a lot of flowers on that day. It's very similar to Mother's Day, but it's a bigger deal where I come from. So I think it's wonderful that we chose this month to start this wonderful initiative. And I hope that whoever joined us today will leave with something new that they've learned or discovered about Habitat and the work we do. With no further ado, I want to share a little presentation I've prepared, but the purpose of it is to give more information about how Habitat works. And it's not just houses that we build entire communities. And I get this question very often, is that, oh, well, we didn't know that you do community work as well. We knew Habitat just, you know, being bricks and mortar and building houses, but we're much more than that. So my purpose today is to actually show what else we do here in the community, particularly in Fresno. And this program, Neighborhood Revitalization, is basically in almost all the habitats nationally. So I will share my screen. And let's get started. All right. All right, why neighborhood revitalization? Neighborhood revitalization is a part of our mission. Our mission statement is seeking to put God's love into action. Habitat for Humanity brings people together to build homes, communities, and hope. Neighborhood Revitalization Department started about 10 years ago. It started as an initiative, and the purpose of it was to see what underlying conditions are in Fresno communities in terms of, receiving resources and, getting connected to the agencies that provide those resources. And it was very easy to identify a neighborhood in Fresno that we could work and show how all of the issues that I'm very passionate about, being, social injustice and dilapidating housing conditions, are existent on a very serious level. We did choose a neighborhood in Southwest Fresno, the zip code that's considered one of the most distressed zip codes in Central Valley, 93706. So we chose the neighborhood called 41 and North. The purpose of that was to show how we can bring resources and collaborate with multiple agencies to make, the living conditions of that neighborhood a little better. And things that we looked at were, truck traffic, industrialization, how socially unjust was to bring a lot of industries into Southwest Fresno with having people living next door. So there were a lot of issues that we were able to identify, and we worked with the city of Fresno, we worked with local schools, churches, community residents, most importantly. We had resident champions, and we did a needs assessment. So all of the things that I'm saying now are all backed up, but little videos that I prepared for you to learn a little more about stuff that we do. But more importantly, today I wanted to talk about things that we are currently performing in our department. Advocacy, definitely for the communities that are less fortunate. We also provide very tangible programs, being repair, acts of kindness, seasonal programs, and our response to COVID. So I would like to share a little bit more about that. But the foundation of our department is helping us to serve more families, improve quality of life, and increase understanding of cross-sector impacts, and be a catalyst to attract investment. We operate by utilizing two concepts. The first one, the ultimate goal of which is improving the quality of life for neighborhood residents. And the concept two is the cross-sector collaboration. That has been the major foundational principle for us. Habitat has collaborated with a lot of local, national, and national groups to bring those changes into our communities. We have a lot of programs that are directly tied to federal funding and local state funding. So those are relationships that we build daily to make sure that we provide better better chances for our neighborhoods here in Fresno. I talked about a little bit about the repair program. That's a very tangible program that we have for our residents to apply. It is regulated federally, and there are more requirements and restrictions how families can participate. But we have had a lot of a lot of incoming applications, and we had a lot of success stories how we helped our homeowners in their homes. And more particularly, I wanted to mention that we do an approach called aging in place. We help our adult, senior population to stay in their homes more safely and provide them opportunities, you know, not to locate somewhere else because their house is not safe anymore. So that's something that we take a great pride in, and I would like to share a little video about our program.
I come from very humble beginnings. I worked on never have been on any kind of assistance. And if I had $5 left at the end of the month, that's what I did with.
I think it's a wonderful program. It just enables older people to continue to live at home. And that's really very, very important. Because when you don't live at home and you're old, you're more easily disoriented. And so some people, you know, your mental status deteriorates a great deal. But when you're in familiar circumstances, then your routines are familiar and your surroundings are familiar, and you thrive, and you don't when you're in a convalescent hospital.
And all the houses next to me were getting repainted and resold. And my house just sat there. And every year I thought, well, next year. 30 years passed and I lived in a weather-beaten house. Embarrassed. And the angels came along. And then on June the 9th, 2019, a band of people showed up in my house and made me feel like a queen for the day. And they just turned my own beat up house into a. And without that, I would have given up. So I feel so grateful. And I will spend the rest of my life trying to pay back. I'm just overwhelmed. It's just the greatest gift I've ever had. And I hope I'm deserving.
So our approach to revitalizing neighborhoods is basically, you know, by revitalizing entire neighborhoods, that's how we make the most impact. And being able to be in a safe and affordable house is something that you achieve not only through new construction, but also through neighborhood revitalization. And we also pay a lot of attention to demographics, you know, who are the people that we serve. I'm not going to go into details, but we do keep track of, you know, how diverse is the population that we serve. We want to make sure that everyone is captured and everyone that is in need is captured. So we spend a lot of time advocating, and we do a lot of direct outreach out in the neighborhoods, making sure that people know that we provide this resources to their doorsteps. COVID obviously was a huge part of our life last year, and we could not stay aside and not do anything. So we were able to apply to a lot of local funders and sponsors and be able to have our own response to COVID. And there were a lot of families that benefited from that, and we're very proud of this program too. It's not happening right now, though.
My name is Chelsea Allen, and I'm a resident engagement specialist at Habitat for Humanity as well. And what we are doing is this is the emergency deliveries portion of our department. So today we're going to be delivering some packets to residents around Fresno. That includes cleaning packages, also food. So today you'll see us just kind of not engaging with residents, but just dropping off items and making sure that the residents have what they need. This program is free to anyone who applies. You can apply online on the Habitat website, and this is a great opportunity for anyone to get any free goodies that they are in need of at this time as far as cleaning and food supplies. So the supplies come from different places around Fresno. We partner with the Fresno Food Bank, which we get boxes. So our prepackaged boxes that you'll see today come from the Food Bank of Fresno, and also Poverillo. So the bags that we have come from Poverillo, and those have some other goodies in it. They usually have really good healthy snacks in there. So I like to pair those two together when I give those to residents so that they get a variety. And then the cleaning supplies, for ourselves and those together. Our motto at Habitat is just to bring love to the community and bring hope. That's pretty much what we're trying to do, is just bring together our community and just spread the love of God and the hope that we have for the future of everyone. Even though we're in hard times right now, we do understand that us coming together and doing something as small as this makes a big impact on the community. So we're very grateful to still have this program going and look forward to any future opportunities to do something like this.
So as I mentioned, we do not have this program currently. We're able to deliver over 300 to over 300 families in Fresno and Madera area. It was very important for us to be able to do that, because a lot of the families that were basically, you know, due to COVID, staying in their own homes, a lot of those people were unable to do shopping, and a lot of senior population. So we made sure that everyone heard about the program. We were very active advertising about it. It was completely free of charge for the homeowners to get a care package from Habitat and the sponsors that were enabling us to do that. We also pay a lot of attention to our geography. You know, we want to make sure that we track our progress and that we're very diverse, not only in the population that we serve, but also geographically. So we try to be in all of Fresno and Madera and help the families that are in need. The last video that I want to share is it's basically a summary of our advocacy work in 41 and North neighborhood that I mentioned in the beginning of my presentation. When we went to that neighborhood the first time, we asked the people and their residents in their homes what was something that they wanted most for their community, and the answers were, you know, well, the video will share a little more, but the main thing was that they never had an amenity. Being a part of a lot of committees and specific plans by the city of Fresno with the residents of Southwest, it's an area where you basically had no stores in a 10-mile radius. You didn't even have a playground. So having a playground is a essential, you know, element in every neighborhood, and children do have a need to play somewhere. So one of the things that came up was building the playground, and we were able to raise the funds and work with the municipalities and local, national, and federal funders to be able to build that. So I wanted you to see how everything came together, the cross sector collaboration, the funding, and more importantly, our best value residents being able to let us know what is it that they want most for their communities. Oh, sorry, that didn't go as planned. For some reason, it's not showing. I'll try again. Can you see my screen?
I want you to take this tour with me and just go in your mind's eye, not disregarding the reality of things, but just kind of go with me as we go through the vision and we talk
Sorry, guys, something is wrong.
about what the possibilities are in this neighborhood. This area, the misery index is really high. You have high unemployment, high school dropout rate is 43%. Practically every home on the street that we'll go to is headed by a single female household. If you look at this street, it looks like a third world country. Really, it's almost like cobblestone. Very little pedestrian infrastructure. And it really looks desolate. And it really affects the psyche of the kids who live in this neighborhood. You want to see maybe, you know, a soccer field or a playground right here. The nearest grocery store is over 5 miles away. And so you have a neighborhood that's peppered with liquor stores in a county that has a $6.9 billion agribusiness. We have a food desert here. And you can't come over and paint over hunger. You can't come over and paint over education disparities and health disparities. You've got to build the community from the ground up. What we do best in Habitat is bricks and mortars, but we can take that same skill set of building something and build a neighborhood. I remember when we started, we would ask people, what do you envision for this neighborhood? And sometimes we would just get a blank.
I just realized that you can't see all of my screen. I don't know what's wrong with it. So I will try to restart it. I'm sorry.
Marina, I can go ahead and show the video on my screen. I have it up.
Yes, if you can. Yeah. I'm having technical difficulties here.
I want you to take this tour with me and just go in your mind's eye, not disregarding the reality of things, but just kind of go with me as we go through the vision and we talk about what the possibilities are in this neighborhood. This area, the misery index is really high. You have high unemployment, high school dropout rate is 43%. Practically every home on the street that we'll go to is headed by a single female household. If you look at this street, it looks like a third world country. Really, it's almost like cobblestone. Very little pedestrian infrastructure. And it really looks desolate. And it really affects the psyche of the kids who live in this neighborhood. You want to see maybe, you know, a soccer field or a playground right here. The nearest grocery store is over 5 miles away. And so you have a neighborhood that's peppered with liquor stores in a county that has a $6.9 billion agribusiness. We have a food desert here. And you can't come over and paint over hunger. You can't come over and paint over education disparities and health disparities. You've got to build the community from the ground up. What we do best at Habitat is bricks and mortars, but we can take that same skill set of building something and build a neighborhood. I remember when we started, we would ask people, what do you envision for this neighborhood? And sometimes we would just get a blank stare. And so we thought the ability to dream and to vision had just kind of disappeared, but we kept asking that question. And now we have a strategic plan that's built on the vision and the dreams and the hope of people who live here. So part of our revitalization initiative means that we
take a collective impact approach, that we partner with agencies who are already doing the work in this neighborhood. For example, we partner with the local churches to do outreach to the families and to feed families who are having food security issues. There is a little liquor store here that's going to have green carts and produce carts. I think the biggest change we see is the neighborhood kids who now feel empowered, and they have a voice now, and they're talking about their concerns more.
But there was no sidewalks, only if there was a playground nearby.
We are right now circulating a petition for a playground in this neighborhood because people know kids need something to do in this neighborhood. This is the community center. It's really the hub of the neighborhood. The kids come after school, parents come, and at the community center we have a high population of youth and seniors who are all experiencing some food security in some form. So we built this 28-bed community garden with some of the neighborhood kids. So there's a lot of opportunity to really invest in the lives of kids, and it happens here at this center. So I'm coming up on the school district in the area. What we do here is a lot of training. We're going to have our resident leadership academy here. We recruited some of the teenagers who live in the Habitat subdivision and train them to do a block analysis and a homeowner assessment. The assessment is part of the community evaluation strategy that we do every year. So kids are talking to each other, but more importantly, we're getting the data that we need to track impact on quality of life. 10 years, I see the street that we're sitting on that doesn't have, curbs, sidewalks, and gutters. I see it built up. This infill lots, I see houses and families, a grocery store on the corner. We just believe quality housing, having a neighborhood that's walkable and safe is a basic human right. And at the end of the day, we're advocates, and we are advocating for changes for the lives of the kids who live here. We're agents of change. That's what I like to say. We are agents of change.
Thank you, Sarah, for helping me with this one. We were able to build the playground, as I shared previously. And right now, I wanted us to have a live, representation, manifestation of what we do best. And it's engaging our residents in a meaningful way. We have various tools that Habitat for Humanity Neighborhood Revitalization Department. And one of them is our signature program, which is called Acts of Kindness. The program is exactly what the word suggests. It's a very simple act of kindness. We'll reach out to families twice a week, on Tuesdays and Thursdays. We'll bring the best that we have, which our volunteers and Habitat staff and tools and resources to do a small project, small to large scale project for the homeowners in Fresno and Madera counties. And live here with us, we have wonderful Marina. Marina, if you can introduce yourself and have a live session of our very own Act of Kindness program.
Thank you, Marina, and hi everyone. Thank you so much for joining and your interest in our program. My name is Verna. I'm an AmeriCorps member for Acts of Kindness or Neighborhood Revitalization as a whole. And so 3 days a week I do administrative work for the program, and then 2 days a week I'm on site Tuesdays and Thursdays managing kind of the volunteer engagement of this program. And so I kind of just want to show you guys what we have going on here. We're currently in Fresno. We do some work in Fresno County and Madera County as well. And so this is kind of, let me see if I can flip. We're finishing up our project. We're working on pavers, and here's Chelsea over here, the Acts of Kindness Queen, who will tell you a little bit more about our project. And I'll have her introduce herself.
Hello everybody. My name is Chelsea. I am the resident engagement coordinator with Habitat for Humanity. And yes, like Verna had mentioned, we are here laying pavers for a homeowner who is disabled somewhat. She has some mobility issues walking. So we're putting pavers in her yard. I'll flip around for you. just so she has some solid ground to walk on. As you can see, we're all here hard at work. So yeah, so that's pretty much what our project consists of for the day.
Awesome. Thank you, Chelsea. And I believe we have a couple of questions from you or for you. So what do you like most about your job?
I would definitely say my favorite part about doing the acts of kindness is helping the homeowners to beautify their home in any way possible. The list can go from a major project to a very small project, but they all make such a difference. So we really enjoy coming out here and doing these things for the homeowners. And secondly, I love working with our volunteers and our people from the community. We get to meet people, new people on a daily, twice a week. We get to meet new people and we get to all work together. And I like that we don't clash, even though we have different skill sets. We all work together and help each other and make things happen. So it's a really positive environment to be out in. And I really love doing this on a daily basis. It feels good.
Awesome. And what would you say makes Habitat special for other volunteers to volunteer at versus other organizations?
Sure. So what I like to say is coming out here to do these projects, you really get a satisfaction instantly because you get to see the work you've done for the homeowner, just how happy the homeowner is, and also just how the site has changed, how we beautified their home. So there's like instant gratification with coming out to our acts of kindness because you're able to do the project, see the initial effect that it has on the homeowner, and then afterwards, just how pleased they are with it. So yeah, so just coming out here and knocking these projects out, it's a good thing to do on a weekly basis, but I think our volunteers really enjoy being around each other and doing these and experiencing these projects together.
Great. Thank you so much, Chelsea. I'll let you get back to work.
Of course.
All right. So speaking of volunteers, usually we have an all-women team, but today, as you can see, we have some men from VAC come out, and we have some students from Fresno State and Brianna. And for you to know our volunteers a little bit more, we'll ask Kathy here, who's a regular volunteer, for a couple questions. And I'll have you introduce yourself as well.
Hello, my name is Kathy, and I volunteer with Habitat for Humanity, their program called Acts of Kindness. I was looking for something to do because I'm retired, and so I've come out here to check this out, and I've now been here over a year because I thoroughly enjoy coming out and doing this.
Yeah, Kathy does an awesome job. She has great skills that she brings to the table. Kathy, another question I wanted to ask you is what made you want to sign up today specifically? I mean, you're here twice a week. What about today's project made you want to sign up?
It's the camaraderie, and it's very much like Chelsea said, to see a group of people come together, do a project. Most of us have never met, and you get to see these people who come out and you see their natural talents just start showing up, and everybody jumps in, and where one person lets off, the other one picks up, and it's just a really enjoyable time. And we have fun while we're doing it too. There's a lot of laughter quite often that goes along with our projects.
We stick to our 50-50 rule.
That's
every
right.
project, right? 50% work, 50% fun.
Mm-hmm.
And one question I did also want to ask you is, how do you think these projects make a difference?
I think they make a huge difference. They're sometimes it's little things that are most important in somebody's life. And when you can do a very small project that maybe some company would not even attempt to do because it's not a large enough project for them to do, we come out and we do it, and it looks really good. I haven't seen a project yet where we have walked away thinking, well, we could have done better. It's actually turned out very well. And I know it really pleases the homeowner, and it makes just a little bit of difference in their life, which I think is very important.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Kathy.
You're welcome.
We love having you out each time, and I'll let you get back to work.
I'm glad you having me come back.
Verna, thank you so much. You could be a great journalist. I see you know, covering live for CNN one day.
That's a dream, hopefully.
I do have a couple questions for you guys. Can you hear me now, or is it still? Good. Okay. Brenda, I wanted to know, you've been with us for some months now. What is the funniest thing that happened to you on the job site?
I mean, as Kathy mentioned, we have a lot of fun on job sites, and it's a lot because of the kind of people we have out here. But the funniest, I guess, moments come from times that are unexpected. We have plenty of them. Sometimes things may not go as planned, and that's okay. We figure things out. But what comes to mind for me mostly recently was we were out in Madeira at a rural area, and there were a lot of puppies that came out, like so many puppies. But there were these two puppies in specific. They looked like twins. They were adorable. And yeah, they were just following us throughout the entire project. But Brianna specifically, she's one of our regular volunteers. Brianna is a huge animal lover, and the puppies would not leave her. So we ended up with a fun problem where we were looking for the owners of these puppies. And so we were going around the neighborhood doing investigative work, trying to find out the owners of these puppies. So it was kind of a fun little adventure. I think Brianna was tempted to keep them, but out of the goodness of her heart, she wanted to find who they really belonged to, and we did.
That's hilarious. I wish I could see those cuties. And I know, Verna, that I've been multiple times on our Acts of Kindness job site, and the projects themselves are very engaging because you have to do a lot of work while you're there. But what are some other things you do to keep our wonderful volunteers engaged on the job site?
So there's a few things that we do on the job site. I guess one thing would have the volunteers be connected to the mission of what we're doing. So we do multiple tasks, and it may be easy to kind of overlook those and think that they may not affect the homeowners, but we make sure at our orientation, Chelsea usually does this, but she gives a background of the homeowner and how it can really impact them. For example, at our project today, we're doing pavers, and as Chelsea mentioned, the homeowner is very disabled. And so we want to make sure to tell the volunteers the reason why we're doing it. That way they can be motivated throughout the project and realize that it's bigger than them and they're really making a huge impact on the community. I guess the second one to keep the volunteers engaged is to make sure that they're valued and appreciated. And so there's a few things that we do this. They may be small, but it can go a long way. So we provide hospitality, provide refreshments, make sure that they're well taken care of during their project. Be personable with them as well. So make sure we know their names and to kind of compliment them on the kind of job that they're doing. So things like that. And I guess a third one, a way that I like to keep volunteers engaged is to empower them, especially during moments where they may not feel confident or comfortable, especially as women, where we haven't used power tools before. Sometimes when we see tasks that can seem intimidating, it's easy to kind of just step back and not go out of our comfort zone, but to be able to provide the training for those people and to empower them and to just to tell them they can do it. And once they do, they kind of just have like a lot of energy and want to do it again. And they want to come back again to the other projects. And so I've seen how that can keep them engaged.
Yeah, I can testify to that as a staff member and a regular on AOK sites. I have learned a lot of things. And I think last time I was there, I actually learned how to use a circular saw to cut wood. But I wondered, Berna, what hands-on skills did you learn being on the AOK site? There's plenty to do. What are some things that stick with you that you can actually claim you can do now?
Yeah, I guess to kind of just echo what you were saying, the saw, I was with you that day when we both learned how to do it. And you did a really great job at it. I learned that you're great at the power drill too. I think, yeah, just the power tools that I've never used before. And so, yeah, I think the biggest one would be the chainsaw. I was really scared to use a chainsaw, but Chelsea trained me on it and I was able to cut down a tree. So that was really empowering to me. And then I guess another skills that I've learned is people skills, learning how to work with different types of people in the valley, and knowing how to connect with them.
Nice, Verna. We're so fortunate to have you. And one thing about our Acts of Kindness site is actually a place where you can discover a lot of things about yourself, what you can and cannot do, and what are the limits that you can push yourself to. But thank you so much. We're really fortunate to have you and Chelsea and our wonderful volunteers on the job site. And I hope that the project is, comes around nice and provides some healthy and safe entry for the homeowner. Thank you, guys.
All right. Thank you so much, Marina. Thank you, everyone, for having me. Bye.
All right. Well, with that, I would conclude our presentation about the Neighborhood Revitalization Program. I know there were some questions in chat. I'm more than happy to answer those, but I can't keep a track of that. Alexandria, if you could help me with those, that would be fantastic.
Yes, absolutely. So the first question that was asked is, how are the recipients of the programs chosen?
That's a great question. We have several tools that we use to find our applicants. For the repair program, we do a lot of direct outreach. We actually have an outreach coordinator in the Neighborhood Revitalization department that does very simple things as direct flyering and working with the also city administration and community centers, churches. We advertise about our programs, and those are all free of charge. So we work with Agency on Aging, and we worked previously with schools to do some flyering and making sure that we reach out. We also have a hub on our website for applying for Acts of Kindness program. There is a Google form that you can fill out, and it directly comes to our department where we see all the interest that come in. You can actually request Acts of Kindness for yourself or for a neighbor that you see is struggling. So that's those are some ways that we choose. For the Act of Kindness, the site visit is basically the way we approve the residents to participate. For a repair program, it's lengthier process because it's a federally regulated program, and there are a lot of requirements for the repair applicants to actually make it to the project itself. But for Acts of Kindness, it's more simple. It's also a free of charge program, but the main thing that we expect for the homeowners to be able to qualify is to show them, that they actually need the project. So if they're applying for roof repair, then we have to make sure that, they have a leaky roof, or for the Acts of Kindness, as today's homeowner, that it causes them discomfort and they cannot do that on their own. So I hope I answered your question.
Thanks, Marina. I think that was a really great overview. The second question was, how old do you have to be to participate in the projects? And I just want to mention that if anyone has any additional questions, please drop them in the Q&A section and we'll be able to get to them as soon as possible.
I would probably defer to Sarah for that one because she will give you more information on the age requirements.
Definitely. And so our Acts of Kindness opportunities, which we specifically saw Verna show us a little bit of what was going on today. Those projects are typically geared for 14 years and older. However, it does depend on the task that is being done, just due to some requirements with OSHA guidelines as well as our insurance guidelines. But typically they're geared for 14 years and older. If you are 14 or 15 and you are interested in volunteering, you do have to have an adult accompany you to the site. If you are 16 years or older, you do not need an adult. 16 and 17-year-olds just need to have a parental waiver signed when attending. However, we do also host special events throughout the year that are geared for families to get involved. And so typically those are called cleanups. So we'll have neighborhood revitalization cleanup days. Those are geared for our younger volunteers to come out alongside their parents or family members or friends to get involved. Again, those are periodic. They're not every acts of kindness. In addition, our neighborhood revitalization program also includes home preservation, which is going to be a little bit more geared towards construction projects with existing houses. Those projects are going to be geared typically for 18 and older, sometimes 16 and older. So acts of kindness, which is what you saw, is going to be typically 14 years and older.
Thanks, Sarah. I think to that, I will go on to the next question, which is grant writing, neighborhood history, how to address the quality of life issues, so zoning and code violations, trash parking, animal runnings at large. So how do you guys address those issues?
The most important part of our work is having that one-on-one connection with the residents. We call them resident champions and resident leaders. If something is going wrong around my house, I'm the first one that will, want to be interested in fixing that. As Habitat, we're encouraging people to reach out. The problem that we see as we work in our neighborhoods, there is a trust issue. There is a lot of fatigue from being promised and under-delivered, over-promised and under-delivered. And Habitat is basically, I always call us the bridge between the residents and the agencies that provide those resources. Sometimes we are the agency that provides the resource, which is the act of kindness, repairs, our essentials delivery, but sometimes those resources have to come from somewhere else. So the safety of the neighborhoods, and we all agree that it's a basic human right to have a walkable and safe neighborhood, is something that cannot be achieved just by reaching out to Habitat. Habitat can help connect our neighborhoods and communities to the city of Fresno. There are a lot of planning activities going in the city of Fresno. I personally am a part of a lot of Southwest, specific plans, Southeast specific plan. The purpose of those plans is to ensure that if you have an issue with zoning, or if you have an issue with the way that it's set up, like, I mentioned truck traffic, Claren North neighborhood is adjacent to Cargill and a lot of other big industries. So there's a lot of trucks going into the residential area. So if you have a problem with that, which clearly you would, one way that you could address those is partner with Habitat and try to sit in on those planning activities and steering committees and make sure that your voice is heard. If you don't advocate for your neighborhood, no one will. Habitat may come and choose the neighborhood, but if the residents are not active and are not advocating for their own, rights to have a better and safer neighborhood, our hands will be tied. So one way is to champion for your community. And there are a lot of communities that are in need in Fresno. It's not just 93706, there are a lot of neighborhoods that need this push, and that's what we try to do, to educate people that there are ways that you can actually influence the planning of the city. And the city hears, there are a lot of comments going into all of those activities that I mentioned, but we, as we make sure that our residents know about those. I can give a very concrete example of that. I was a part of a Southwest Fresno specific plan for a long time. And we had a plan that was approved by the city council and the mayor, which was showing that the 93706 zip code residents do not want any more industrialization in their neighborhoods. They do not want any new industries going in there. Whatever is there can continue working, but not anymore. So there was a request for a vendor. They applied to the city directly to overrule this plan and give one of those, one of the lots that was in that area of planning interest to go back from, mixed commercial to light industry. And all of the participants of the Southwest Fresno Plan came together. We raised an army. We went to the residents and had everyone go through the community meetings to let them know that you cannot do this. You know, we figured out that the residents don't want any more new industries in Southwest Fresno. And we were able to actually influence. I don't know, it's not final yet because it's still, you know, going back to the city and back to the community, but that's one way that we actually are working to make sure that if you feel passionate about an issue in your community, there is a way to influence that process.
Thank you, Marina. That was really insightful on the empowerment of our community members. The next question is, how can we incentivize builders, developers, and landowners to participate more and add value to the cause?
That's a great question. And that's something that we're also trying to work towards, and particularly in Southwest Fresno. When we started our work there, as I said, you know, I've spent multiple hours in the neighborhood. I literally couldn't, I mean, the only place you could buy a snack is a liquor store. Just recently, you know, they opened a Family Dollar there. I think that's the only chain supermarket or, you know, store that you have in that area. And even the ones that are coming now, like Amazon and Ulta into those neighborhoods, it's still like a warehouse, you know, it's not really a business. So one way, you know, to try to advocate for the communities is to invite this people to the table. Like, we work very closely with Cargill and all of the organizations and companies and corporate sector that works in the neighborhood. But the incentive is to show that you care for your neighborhood, you know, to try to be at those negotiation tables and make sure that you tell the history of the neighborhood. Me coming into Fresno, I wasn't aware about a lot of the historical injustice that was done. So telling about the story and being the storytellers and making sure that everyone knows the history of your neighborhood and, you know, why it's important to invest. And I think that the residents of Southwest Fresno are really doing a good job about that. And slowly, but surely, I think that the investment is coming into the neighborhoods that we're working in. So,
thank you. And then for this, we spoke about the community members and our developers, but what can we as women specifically do in order to help in this specific area and program?
I think we have the advantage of knowing the true issues of our neighborhoods. As a woman, you know, I know what are the issues, you know, in terms of like getting my kids to school and out of school and what amenities there are in the neighborhood. Sometimes, you know, I don't like generalization and, you know, think there are men that know much better than any other woman would. But basically, I think moms and women in the neighborhood, they know what the issues are and what are, you know, just daily life, you know, day-to-day operations that affect how we feel about our neighborhoods. Women statistically on average will be the parent that takes kids to the playground or takes them to school and out of school. So I think we have the advantage of knowing what the true issues are in our neighborhood. And I think that by committing to taking an active role instead of, you know, staying passive, I think we show that the growing generation of girls and, you know, young ladies, that there is a way that you can make a difference. And one way is to be very active and hands-on. I think we've entered, unfortunately, into an era of, you know, virtual life, virtual everything. And I think that one way we can make a balance is to also make sure that we are still back out there and doing like acts of kindness as today's volunteers. They were not scared of, you know, the virus, and they got out there and wanted to do something meaningful. And I think that being hands-on and utilizing all the skills that we have to make a difference for one homeowner, it's a start. And as women, you know, I wouldn't make a distinction, but I think that we have the ability to influence because we are the best influencers on men. So I think we should definitely use that as we move on.
Awesome. That's super empowering. Thank you so much, Marina. And I believe that is going to be all the questions for today. So I will pass it back over to Sarah and Megan.